Okay, hi. I'm Aubree Adams, and I'm at CSU-Pueblo. This is the Cannabis Institute Conference 2018, and I'm here with Dr. Libby Stout and Dr. Hillebrand. And Dr. Hillebrand is a chemist, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then Dr. Libby Stout is an addiction psychiatrist. And so we're going to get their perspective. They've been attending the conferences today. First question is, what was some of the pros that you guys saw? If Dr. Stout, you want to go first?
Well, I think this was, in many ways, a really good conference, much better than one last year. I think they got a lot more science, so I actually saw some really good research. And the keynote speaker today from very big researcher in endocannabinoidal systems from Quebec, gave an excellent talk. And really hard to put your mind around it because there's so much information. This is a huge system that we're just now learning about. And he was pretty clear that THC was not a good thing.
Okay.
He's studying the other components and has some pretty good research for other components of marijuana being helpful for things. And we have seen some good research here on CBD for different things. The problem that I see in this conference is there really isn't anything on the high potency THC and the downsides of that. And so it's not extremely balanced in that regard. There are a lot of people here from the industry, a lot of people who are clearly high. I mean,
Yeah, you smell it everywhere you go.
You can smell it strongly, and people openly say they're using in meetings. So there's that aspect of it that makes it less than scientific. I mean, I've been to a lot of tobacco research conferences, and the tobacco industry is not invited. They don't have booths, and they don't sell their wares, and they're not giving talks about the benefits of their drug.
Yeah.
But it's a little different with this.
Okay. And then what was some of the pros that you learned about today?
I actually agree very much with Dr. Stout that the keynote speaker was probably the highlight that I have seen so far, and his presentation of how to assess the therapeutic use of the cannabinoids, all of them that are from the plant, not just either CBD or THC. And so he has a really exquisite system to determine how to set therapeutic doses and how to mix the drugs, or let me say co-administer drugs so that they can be used to treat particular conditions. And so I really learned a lot and understood a small part of what he spoke about, but I thought that was a high point. The other comment that I really have is that there have been kind of mixed sessions. Some of the sessions have been very good scientifically, and then others are either obviously pro marijuana, and they're speaking more on the business side than on the scientific side. I would like to add that the first session that I went to was an interview process where students from CSU-Pueblo had interviewed various groups out of the community. They interviewed law enforcement, educators, social workers, and then I think another group maybe that work with homeless. And it was getting the impression of these people and the impact that marijuana legalization has had on these various groups. And they're almost uniformly responding that the legalization of marijuana has been negative in the community on those different aspects of our small community here in Pueblo. So that one was really good. I actually encouraged them to expand this and go statewide with it.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good conference. There are some good things, and then obviously some negatives as well.
Okay, well, let's talk about that next. Let's go back to Dr. Stout. I think one of the first questions I asked you, because I forget the name of the lady that just presented downstairs, she's involved with the documentary Weed 4 with Dr. Gupta on CNN, very pro-marijuana piece, some really mixed messages, dichotomy point of view. You either have your pills or your pot, which I think is a very big disservice to our country. So what is your response to marijuana being a harm reduction for the opioid crisis?
Well, clearly that hasn't worked in Colorado. And we would invite Dr. Gupta to come to Colorado so he could see. Dr. Ken Finn gave an excellent presentation today on, he's a pain management specialist in Colorado Springs, and he gave a really thorough talk with all of the research that's out there on chronic pain, opiates, and marijuana. And basically showed that marijuana, we've had medical marijuana in Colorado since, 17 years. And we have progressively increased the opiate epidemic deaths. So it doesn't matter. And he's got a great slide showing, when we legalized medical marijuana and then recreational marijuana, and it just keeps expanding. So we have done nothing with our marijuana to decrease the opiate deaths. And so I do not think it's the solution. What is appearing is it's a co-occurring drug. So people are using opiates and marijuana. And that's what he sees in his practice. So he sees people that have very serious pain, and he had some horrible slides showing some horrible things that would cause horrible pain.
Oh, gosh.
And so these people have real true pain, and they're on opiates, but they're also using marijuana. And he's not seeing that it's really beneficial. And then, in my practice, I have never seen marijuana get people off of opiates. I've worked with many, many opiate addicts, people addicted to heroin, and most of them, once they get sober, tell me that they're really fearful of going back to marijuana because they think if they did that, they would go back to heroin. So they see the connection.
Absolutely. Do you agree with Dr. Stout on that? Or?
Absolutely. Yeah. And to add, I guess, just to comment on Dr. Finn's presentation, he also spoke about the beginning of opioid addiction, and I believe his number was 92% of his patients that responded had started with marijuana and progressed to opiates, and I hope I have that correct. But
it's not basically just his patients. That was a study.
It was a study. Okay.
That yes, for most people that use heroin, they started with marijuana.
With marijuana.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really important point. And then at this conference, I have seen many people talk about things that they want to do, as opposed to actually having the data that they can show either a positive or negative effect. And it's kind of a planning session for them, I think. But I perceive an underlying message at the conference. To me, the underlying message is that Big Pharma is bad and that marijuana is good. Marijuana is not an exit medication. It's something that not an entrance medication. It's an exit medication from drugs provided by Big Pharma. And I think that many of these people don't remember polio. I happen to remember not being able to go to the swimming pool when I was a kid until the Salk and Sabin vaccines came about. We've got vaccines, wiping out many of the medications. What country in the world could have solved the HIV infection, or at least having a treatment in the way that this country did? So I'm not opposed to Big Pharma. I see what they did. I see what they do with antibiotics and with surgery and those things. I think there's a place, but I think that there's a feeling here that Big Pharma is automatically bad, and that marijuana is the solution to many of these medical problems, curing cancer, curing serious burns, and all of those things. And I just don't think the data are there to show that.
Yeah. Well, that's like their talking points, right? They demonized the pharmaceutical companies, and they're demonizing the medical community now, and that's how they've been getting away with their thing. That's the way I see it. That's the messages I get all the time. So.
And I would like to add, I guess, one more comment, and I've spoken with a DEA agent in the past, and he is of similar opinion to Dr. Finn, and that is essentially everyone that he deals with that's on opioids started with marijuana.
So one last question then. Do you guys think that the legalization of marijuana has benefited anybody except the people that are profiting and with the stores, or do you think it's a solution to what they claim the war on drugs is?
I do not believe it is a solution to the war on drugs. I believe that it is a source of income for people that are motivated by money, by green, and not in terms of the plant itself, but just by money. I think it brings more societal problems, and I would like to see the state do an honest cost-benefit analysis across the state of what the actual social costs are, the law enforcement cost, medical cost,
Yeah.
ER cost in Pueblo,
Yeah.
and I really think that would be an interesting discussion, and I will guarantee, in my opinion, that the cost will be much higher than the few millions of dollars that the state takes in taxes.
Amen. What do you think?
I don't think we're getting rid of marijuana.
No.
No, it's legal. But what I want to focus on is getting rid of the high potency THC. And I don't know why we continue to have this. There's no research saying that it's beneficial for anything. But people here basically, there's two factions here, and that's what makes it a very interesting conference, because there is the science, so there are science researchers, and there are people that are really wanting to look at this in a balanced fashion, and then there's the people that are the believers, who have stood up, like in this very intelligent presentation we saw today, stood up and said to him that cannabis cures, the plant cannabis cures cancer.
I can't believe they get away with that.
But people, really believe that. And I think part of it is the effect of high potency THC on the brain. I really do think it causes delusional thinking. It changes altered perceptions of reality. And so that's a concern that I have. And I am not denying that there's not medical benefits. I think we're seeing medical benefits, but not from high potency THC. Not at all. And so that's my major focus, and then my other focus is children, babies, adolescents, the developing brain. How can we help prevent them from getting access to this, or normalizing it? What we've done is made it where they think it's safe, and it's not safe for them. But there are people here. I had a discussion with somebody that was trying to convince me that it was okay for mothers to breastfeed smoking marijuana, because the THC comes in the breast milk anyway.
Oh my God.
And
I've heard that.
And I kept trying to explain, no, that's a phytocannabinoid. We have endocannabinoids, yes, that are in breast milk from the mother. But this is a phytocannabinoid, and there is no THC. There's research. And I said, well, I would love to see the research. Please give it to me. Well, he hasn't gotten it to me yet. And this was, a couple days ago. So there's some delusional thinking here about this plant. And I think the plant creates that. So it's kind of a vicious cycle.
One last question. Do you see marijuana induce psychosis in your practice?
Oh, absolutely. And that's the other discussion I've had with people here, the believers, and they discount that immediately, and they want to say, oh, they have underlying, that's just their underlying problem. And I've absolutely seen kids with no history of psychosis themselves, no family history of substance abuse, becoming psychotic, smoking dab. And then in the good situation, they stop smoking dab, and the psychosis resolves after a lot of psychiatric medication. And then, luckily, at least for one person, been able to get them off the psychiatric medication, and then still okay. But the problem is, if that person goes back to smoking dab, they may be this way the rest of their